May 18th, 2013. In the last video we did about the Dulce information, we were tracing that in. We were looking at how that would tie in with other history around the world, the New Testament, Old Testament, going back into Sumerian, Greek, because all of this history, if you put the pieces together, you'll get a lot better picture than you do if you don't try. And you're supposed to study, because we are about to face the greatest battle known to mankind, the battle for your soul, basically, if you study Revelation, and what will happen if you take the wrong path during this time. And in any battle, especially one that's supposed to be the worst tribulation known to man, the more you know about the enemy, the more you study, the better chance you have of holding him off at the gate. Now, again, we talked about the vast underground caverns and complexes around the world, and that Dulce information. They had talked about the connections and how extremely large some of these places were. And we got into Revelation 9:11, and we'll talk more about it, but one of the verses there says, "And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek hath his name Apollyon." Now, the word bottomless pit in the Greek simply says abyss. So it says, "And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the abyss." Now, we were given these clues. These two names were dropped in the middle of Revelation. There's not very many names there. Remember, we also traced another character in this group, Adad, to the number 666. But we're going to dig deeper into that on another video, but we want to stay with the first clues we're giving. And this is Apollyon, but it traces back to Apollo. You can read through this, pause it and read it, and where it goes all the way. Apollo is known in Greek influence Etruscan mythology as Apollyon, and that is son of Enlil. Okay, now that's Nergal. You can trace it. You can do more studying if you like it. In the video before this, I think we did go further into showing how that traced, so you can watch that. But it goes into Nergal, and again, Apollyon is traced here. He is the son of Enlil and Ninlil. Now, he was also mentioned in the Old Testament. The history there of it says Nergal is mentioned in the Hebrew Bible as the deity of the city of Cuth, and they call it Cuthran now. And that was 40 miles northeast of Babylon. And that's where they were set up with a city there. In the 2nd Kings, they talk about in the men of Babylon set up Succoth Benoth, and the men of Cuth or Cuthra made Nergal. That's 2 Kings 17:30. Now, here's one of the parts that's interesting to me, and again, you can pause this. It says Nergal actually seems to be in part a solar deity, sometimes identified with Shamash, but only a representative of a certain phase of the sun, portrayed in hymns and myths as a god of war and pestilence. Just like in Revelation, Nergal seems to represent the sun of noontime, this is important, and the summer solstice that brings destruction. High summer being the dead season in the Mesopotamian annual cycle. Now, key words here is that he's portrayed as a god of war and pestilence. Now, these were advanced beings. They were not gods. They knew that there was one God called the creator of all, who we call Yahweh. They knew that. Now, because we know he's portrayed as a god of war and pestilence, he seems to represent the sun. So here's what happens and when, if you're paying attention. All right, now the sun of noontime and the summer solstice. Now, we don't know what year. This year, the summer solstice is next month June 21st, 5 months before our sun rises in November 28th. But again, also noontime. You remember that word from anywhere? Let's look back in the history. And in the Old Testament, in Amos, it says, And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord God, that I will cause the sun to go down at noon, and I will darken the earth in the clear day. There it is, sun and noon. Again, right here, Nergal represents the sun at noontime, the summer solstice. Okay. Now, it says the fourth, and if we tie that into where else in the Bible are we talking about the sun being darkened, we look at Revelation 28. The fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. So a third is 8 hours. If you start that at noon, that would do it. Now, it says, And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels which are yet to come. So this is a sign when this happens at noon. That's a sign of what's about to happen. Now, let's go back to Revelation 9. I've got a little more of it right here. Now, again, fourth angel here in the warning and the darkness at noon. And we go right to Revelation 9:1 into the 5th angel. It says, And I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out of the pit, and the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. There came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and to them were given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. Now, again, right here in 9, you've got a pit. You got smoke coming out, darkening the sun and the air, and that seems to be the trigger for the release of the locust army. Could it be CO2 emissions from? Could it be from war? Could it be from volcanoes? Could it be from a meteor striking the earth? But there's an angel or messenger. It says he saw a star fall from heaven and was given the key of the pit, and he opened the pit. Now, what else can we find out about the pit in this study? Let's look back up here. We just studied about Nergal and the summer solstice and the being sun at noontime. Now, Nergal also the deity who presides over the netherworld, okay, underground, bottomless pit, abyss, and who stands at the head of the special pantheon assigned to the government of the dead.